What is up, YeshGamers? Robert the Bruce here, and today I want to talk about why it is so important for you to mix up your classes and try out all the different weapons. What we'll be watching today is one long video clip from a recent match I had. That's right, the entire video was one life, no revives, just crushing some baddies and switching out weapons when my ammo ran out. I went through 3 very different class setups along the way, 2 of which I scavenged from fallen enemies. I started off with a class I'd been using on another map that I'm actually going to be doing a video on soon as well. It's a very fun class using a high RPM, short range, suppressed PDW, and it's best played by running around as fast as I can, staying unpredictable to the enemy soldiers, and utilizing the short range areas of the map as much as possible. Unfortunately, this map has a lot of long range areas, so I was having to be extra careful and really put the flashbangs to use that I was carrying. That's the exact reason that I equipped them on this class. I want to have an out if someone is hitting me from range and I need to distract or blind them so that I can get to cover. As a backup, I'm running with a suppressed deagle, and since I'm using a PDW and forced into the engineer class, if things get really silly, I've got an RPG as well. Now I hear you saying, so RTB, is it really that important to learn other guns and class setups? All I ever do is this one certain playstyle. Well, I would argue that there are 2 main reasons you need to experiment with all the guns. The first is because there are lots of different scenarios, game modes, and maps that you'll find yourself in during your battlefield career. It's hard, nay I say impossible, to have a one-size-fits-all class that is the best for all situations. Some maps call for close quarters, high RPM weapons or shotguns. Some maps call for longer range assault rifles or DMRs. Limiting yourself to one setup just because it's your favorite will cripple you in the long run because you can't adapt to situations where your setup isn't working. The second reason is made evident in this video. We've all been there. You're on a great run, you've killed lots of enemies, but you're running out of ammo. You finish off another guy, head over to grab his kit, and oh, it's a setup you would never choose for yourself. Now, if you literally haven't touched that weapon, you won't have a clue how it handles or how you should switch up your gameplay. Soon you'll die in a blaze of glory, shooting wildly with this unfamiliar weapon, but you'll tell yourself, that's okay, now I can restart with the weapon I actually like, and I'll be fully stocked on ammo. Sound familiar? And while it is true that you went on a good run, and nobody can blame you for finally dying, wouldn't it be awesome if the carnage continued and you completely owned the battlefield, regardless of the gun you were using? Wouldn't it be awesome to mix up your gameplay strategy on the fly because you have a new weapon and completely throw off the enemy who are used to the way you've been playing? Of course! There you just saw me switch up to an enemy kit when I was finally down to just my sidearm. I'm moving from a high RPM short-range MPX to a low RPM long-range SCAR that is notorious for its recoil but also deals out serious damage. Now what? Complain that I hate this gun and mentally give up? We all know the answer is no. Instead of trying to get into close-range firefights, I start looking for ways to engage the enemies with some distance between us. It's not always possible, but in situations where I previously would have moved on looking for cover, now I'm stopping to pick off that bad guy because I've got a gun that can handle the range quite well. It's also important to note that once you've picked up a new kit, as soon as you have a chance, check the sidearm. You not only want to make sure it's fully loaded, but you also want to just see what it is so you're prepared should you have to switch to it on the fly. Because I recognized the situation, accepted this new class setup for what it was, and changed my playstyle accordingly, I'm able to continue this death-dealing dance of destruction. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty fun to say. We all look forward to those games where we start to feel kind of invincible because we've killed so many bad guys and are somehow still running around causing chaos. Usually those games will present you with moments where you're low on ammo and the only kit around is some garbage that you would normally never play with. Once you're faced with picking up a gun you've never touched, or continuing on with just your pistol, you'll fully understand why I think this is so important. Aside from all of this, if you haven't tried a lot of the guns, you'll almost certainly discover a couple new favorites along the way. I think it's always fun to have multiple gun options to rotate through, and you just won't have this if you always stick to the same weapon. In addition to this, if there is a gun that I haven't tried for quite a few months, but I remember hating it, I'll periodically go back and try it out again. Not only could it have been patched along the way to be better, but sometimes I'll discover that now I better understand how to use it and can suddenly do pretty well. It's cool to take a weapon you thought was awful, and then one day find yourself racking up kills with it. Towards the end of this video, I'm forced to switch out kits again to my final setup, which is actually my least favorite. If you know me at all, you probably guessed correctly that it is a sniper rifle. I like to run and gun, so sniping doesn't suit my preferred playstyle. But I knew I had to slow it way down if I was going to pick up any more kills. Even though I fully admit that I'm not the best sniper in the world, because I just don't use them that much, I still know that I can't be charging enemy lines quick-scoping or some such silliness. Because I alter my play accordingly to the weapon I'm carrying, I'm still able to snag a few more kills with a gun that I'm admittedly not as good with. I will periodically spend a few rounds sniping just to maintain a little bit of familiarity with them, and if I didn't do that, I would have probably just passed up on this kit altogether and died shortly thereafter. Now, if you didn't think this way before, I hope I've convinced you to try out some weapons that you otherwise would have left alone. It'll make you a better all-around player, and you'll appreciate your favorite guns that much more. We all want to be a total battlefield killing machine, and diligently practicing with various guns from time to time will help you get there. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, let me remind you, winners plan ahead, losers make excuses in the lobby.
If you haven't yet, treat yourself and click that subscribe button. Click the question mark below it to be taken to a totally random video of mine. No guarantees which one you will get. Lastly, if you're on Twitter, follow @YeshGaming because it is my favorite way to communicate with you.